What's going on, guys? Me and my favorites here with BSS Grind. And check this out. This is the very first episode of the Grind for Whole podcast. Now, look, you already kind of hear it in the name, right? This podcast is going to be centered around fitness and health. Then, of course, mental health. And then, of course, things that's going to help you build yourself up mentally, whether it's your gifts, your purpose, your dreams, all these different things. And then, of course, spiritual health. Now, of course, you all that watch my videos, that look at me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you know that everything comes from a biblical standpoint, of course, Jesus Christ, different things. Well, not even say different things, but that's the basis of what I believe in. And then, of course, we will be bringing other people onto this podcast that's going to bring different types of point of views, but it's still going to be centered around building you up, whether it be family, finance, just different things, generational wealth, whatever it is that's going to build you and get you to the point of being whole. That is the goal and the point and purpose of this podcast. So if you into, of course, the personal development and you really trying to make something of yourself, this is the podcast for you. Now, look, I'm going to give you the idea, the basis. Now, I gave you some point of that, but biblically, I'm going to give you the background or the idea of where all of these things come from. This is something God gave to me, and this is what I've built this entire company off of, from being a personal trainer to being a life coach, wellness coach, evangelists, all these things. They said this is what this is built upon. Now, look, this is First Thessalonians, for those, my Bible people out there, it's 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 23. And it says, "And the very God of peace sanctify you wholly. And I pray God, your whole spirit, soul, and body be preserved blameless unto the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ." So being whole is all three parts. You can't be whole without one part of this. So of course you hear that there's three parts to it, man. Even if you go into Hebrews and he talked about dividing the soul and the spirit, like you can't have one without the other. So these are the three pillars to being whole. Everything else, this is the foundation of how people are truly happy and truly have peace, truly have the wealth that they truly need or really want and need in their life. Everything starts with these three, because if you're missing any part of this, everything else is going to be out of balance. So when you're talking about generational wealth and you sick in your body and you can't really enjoy the money that you have, are you truly going to be happy? Even if you have money, but you don't have mental wealth, where your mind is not strong as it should be, you're not happy. You've been filled with a bunch of anxiety and depression, but you richest person in the world, you're not gonna be able to enjoy that money either. You're not gonna be able to enjoy your family either, the relationships that you have around you. And then, of course, one of the other biggest things that I've seen is people have physical wealth. They look good, they're beautiful, they work out, they eat healthy, and then they have an idea of mental health, right? And some people, they into psychology and all these different things, and they have some great tools or some great ideas, right? But what happens is they into the chakra, or they're into crystals, or they're into spiritual baths and all these different things. And you realizing that one part that's missing, and the reason why, one, they have those two, or let's say they have half of the mental / soul part, right? Because the spiritual aspect of this is, if you don't truly have Jesus Christ, or you don't have God, you are going to be missing a vital point to all of this. This is the cornerstone of everything. All right, talking about Jesus Christ. That is the cornerstone. That's one of the biggest things that I've seen, where, like I say, they look good and they have some great ideas, and a lot of stuff that you'll hear people say, it even lines up with what the Word of God says. But they're not accepting Jesus Christ. So a lot of that stuff is off. They getting a lot of principles from it, and they want to take the principles from the Bible and try to apply it in a different way, but it's not going to work out because you still end up not being fulfilled and living in your purpose and truly having that peace that people truly want and desires, because they're not taking the spiritual portion and applying or getting that from the right source. Let me put it like that. What is your source? Right? Jesus Christ. One thing that I truly found out, I was, even from years back, man, when I first lost like my first 50 pounds and I was looking extremely good, right? I was so filled with anxiety and having like even forms of depression and low self-esteem and stuff like that. I still didn't get or really have what I needed to have. I was missing the spirit portion, even from trying even different mental health exercises or gaining knowledge on how to live better and, feel better about yourself. Because at a certain point I did build up my self-esteem to a certain point, but there was something still missing. So the cornerstone that I found out that is the biggest thing that people need, of course. So if you read biblically, it's going to talk about how Jesus Christ is the cornerstone, right? The thing that brings everything together. You have to look at this like an upside down triangle, right? Let's take this analogy, right? So Jesus Christ would be the centerpiece of everything, because how you find out what your purpose truly is, how you really should be living life, and cutting through a bunch of, I'm trying to figure myself out and all this stuff like that. If you start with Jesus Christ and you get your spirit together, and then you branch off and you go into, all right, cool, now that I got this together, I can get my body together. And then right now, simultaneously, your mind and your soul will start to be built up all at the same time. You can look at this as a foundation this way, right? Where Jesus Christ is still in the middle. And then you have the two other pillars, right, as the foundation. But it's still going to start with this one pillar right in the middle. It's going to be Jesus Christ. Right. And I've seen this. I've been noticing, even from like the beginning of 2020, I have noticed this. But recently, it has been way heavier on me with seeing this stuff. I'm starting to see that people are waking up to the fact that you can't just, even for my church people. Right. Let's just go to the church people. And one thing that I've seen, even with preachers and the church nowadays, is they all spirit. And I'm not going to say it's nothing wrong with that, because there is a certain point that there's something wrong with that. They don't take care of their bodies. A lot don't take care of their bodies. And a lot of people don't take care of their mental health. They all spirit. And I see the breakdown when I talk to people in church, or when I just look at people and you hear them talk because of the different certifications and things that I have when it comes down to mental health and coaching people's minds along with their bodies, and say, you missing 2 points. I can hear people talking through their anxiety. I can hear people talking through their trauma and all their pain from the past. And I can hear it, how it's stopping them from performing to the level that they are supposed to be on, which God has called them to. But it's all being stopped because of trauma, because they're not taking care of the mental health portion. God just showed you that there's 3 parts to you. And in order to be whole in all 3 parts, you have to learn about all 3 parts. You can't just learn about Jesus Christ and then go off and only eat cheeseburgers. It don't work like that. You can, but you're going to be defiling your temple at a certain point, because you really sitting there, you killing yourself. You're killing yourself. You're not going to be happy. The spirit got to work overtime in order to try to make you even a certain amount of happy. You missing a certain point. And even, this is just even to the church, right? Like I just said, but God, I had this vision probably last Saturday night going into Sunday morning. I had this vision, and it had just been like, God had been talking about it, but his vision was, I was at one of the churches that I visit, and God had end up showing me there was a, like, let's say like these shipment crates, right? Made for people that, work on the docks and all this stuff, those huge shipment crates. There were a bunch of them stacked up outside. There were cranes and different things that they used to build basically outside. And what happened was after church had let out, everybody was outside. And what I noticed was as we were trying to eat and let's say fellowship, the ground that we were standing on, literally started to sink in. Right? Even biblically, you're talking about how you building your house on sand, or you're talking about that solid rock, which is Jesus Christ. And what happened was it didn't break, right? The ground didn't break, but it was sinking. It wasn't strong. The foundation wasn't all the way where it needed to be. What he was showing was, and then everybody had to get out, had to clear out of the area because construction was about to happen. Basically, the church was about to be built up to a higher standard, put it like that. And what I had realized after I came out of that, and I had been talking about this for a while now, how this is the name of the company is BSS Grind, Body, Soul, and Spirit Grind. And if you watch my videos, I talk about this stuff all the time in different formats, trauma, how to heal trauma, all these different things. But people are going to have to get to a point where they are invested in all three. Excuse me. That they are truly invested in all 3 points of them. And what I realized, somebody brought up the question. One of my own boys, he had brought up the question. He asked me because I was, thinking about like rolling out a program and different things like that. But he asked me basically about what I was going to be talking about. But the question was, what do you value in life? What do you truly value in life? And God had done end up, even after that conversation, I told him it was the things of God. It was the spiritual, the things, the intangible things that you can't see. And of course, come on now. I would love to be even way more successful than what I am, right? Of course, the big houses, multiple houses, cars, all that stuff like that. These, the material things are awesome, right? Because we need them in order to live in this life. And then those things do bring some form of happiness and peace to a certain point. But the real thing is the intangible things. If you listen to, even motivational speakers or different coaches, those are going to be the things that are more valuable than the tangible things. Way more valuable, because if you don't have the gift of like being tenacious, right? Because tenacity is a true gift. That resilience that's been built up in your mind, like even biblically, it's talking about after you've done all that you can do to stand therefore. That is literally tenacity. When anything is coming against you, right? Talking about putting on the whole armor of God, you literally have to have just this insurmountable ability to be tenacious no matter what goes on. Somebody, I had a conversation with somebody else, and they said that's something that that you really live by, because BSS Grind, like I have suffered a few things, even in 2021. I was like, bruh, it's so much that has gone on in 2021, even in these first few months. It has been amazing. And I mean, seriously, a lot of loss I have suffered, but just the purpose of the point of having the gift of being tenacious. I'm not saying, that's a spiritual, but technically it is a spiritual gift, because that strength that God gives you to be tenacious, but the state of mind he gives you to be tenacious and not give up, and looking at all these different trials and different things that you're going to go through in order to get to the point of where you really truly supposed to be. Like the only way to grow is going to be through going through trials and not giving up. When he provides a way for you to escape, you got to get on up out of there. But even you have to be able to stand your ground, and then the devil will flee from you. But you have to have the state of mind to hold on to what you're really supposed to be holding on to, which is your purpose, right? All those things that come with that. So just to not try to get off topic or anything like that, that's something that I truly noticed with what's going on in people's lives, where I've come in contact with quite a few people. And it's like, you truly can't leave out any part to being whole. You can't just have mental health to a certain degree. Like for those people that, that's watching me physically, video will be posted up on YouTube. And of course, for my listeners, Apple, whatever, Apple Podcasts, Anchor Podcasts, Spotify, all these different, you can actually go and watch this up on YouTube. But you cannot leave out any part when it comes down to being whole. Physically, man, you have to make sure you're eating right. You have to make sure you're taking care of your body, because your body, of course, is going to be connected to your soul. Right. And the soul is comprised of, I'm going to tell you what the soul truly is. The soul is literally your brain, the will that he gave you, right? The things that you want to do, what you don't want to do, and what you do, right? Those things. It's going to be your body. It's going to be your mind. And then, of course, your emotions. Those three things are going to make up the soul itself. When he breathed life into this body and it became a living soul, the thing that made it a living soul was the emotions that it had. The ability to have free will, because God gave Adam free will. God told him not to do something and he did it. That is free will. And everything is housed where? In the brain. Without your brain, you cannot exist. This is what the soul truly is. Consciousness is the soul. If you don't train that, if you don't get yourself together up here mentally, you're going to suffer. And then, of course, if you leave out the most foundational and the key piece, which is going to be the Spirit of God, because there's two types of spirits. It's going to be the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. The devil and sin is going to be equated to the spirit of error, and then the spirit of truth is going to be equated to Jesus Christ. People are searching for peace, and I'm going to take you to another scripture, right? People are searching for this. All right, even what I just said, he says, even and the very God of peace. People are searching for peace in things where there's no true peace in them. You can't get peace in crystals. You can't get peace in spiritual baths. You can't get peace in burning sage. Those are false gods. That's false doctrine. That's false spiritualness. It's a form of spiritualness, definitely a form of spiritualness, but it's of the devil. It ain't of God. That's why your life is still where it is, because you're not investing in the right thing. You're not investing in the spiritual portion. You still miserable. You still not happy. You still dealing in chaos. It's still chaos. I'm not saying that we're not going to have problems, right? But people truly are trying to blur the line of being happy and being in chaos. You either going to be on one side or the other. And if you do not have Jesus Christ, you're seeing it all in the world now. You're seeing it all in the world now. Everything that's biblical, that's written in the Bible that people hate, those are the things that they're doing. And you see their lives are in total chaos. It's total chaos. They have no peace on the inside. You wonder why people walking around and they're a bunch of narcissistic type people. They're a bunch of down people. They're a bunch of triggered people. You can't even have a conversation with somebody without somebody being butthurt or without their feelings being hurt. You can't even, you see even the dating pool that's out here. Look how shallow it is. Where are people's morals and standards? It's chaos out here. The foundation that people need, that is what people reject. There's no discipline. There's no true moral high ground. People's morals are everywhere. And this is why you're seeing people's lives be the way they are, because they're not truly just diving into what they really need. They're rejecting it a whole lot. So look, Ephesians 2 and verse 16 and 17. We're gonna go here, right? So it says, and that he might reconcile both unto God in one body by the cross. He's talking about Jesus Christ. This is Paul writing to, Ephesus, all right, the Ephesians church. And it says, we'll start over. It says, and that he might reconcile both unto God in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby, and come and preached peace to you which were afar off, and to them that were nigh. So we're talking about the before times, right? The reason why Jesus Christ came is to reconcile both the Jews, right, the Israel people of Israel, and also the Gentiles. These two bodies of people, because at a certain point, it was only given to the Jews or the Israelites in order to be saved and be of God. They didn't do that right. It was already prophesied. So, but what he did was he brought Jesus Christ here to make sure that other people have access. I can't tell you my heritage when it comes down to genealogy. I don't dive into genealogy because none of that stuff matters, right? It's just anybody can get it. Anybody can become of God. You cannot have peace. You can't have joy. You're not going to truly have what you truly need to have. Some people get caught. They fall deeply into depression. Yeah. It is almost impossible. And it's something that I experienced recently where I experienced some serious hurt. And I mean some serious hurt recently. And I mean serious, where I had to take some steps back and regroup. But what I realized coming out of this, what I realized like going through this and coming out of it is, if I would not have been who I am today through God, right? One, him being the chief cornerstone and me knowing my purpose in life and knowing where I'm supposed to be and who I'm supposed to be. And then, of course, him giving me all the knowledge when it comes down to the mind and, the soul portion. I would have been extremely damaged going through. I would have given up. I truly would have given up and just walked away from all this stuff, because the amount of work that I've put in to experience all of these things, one, it showed me who I truly am, because the only way you're going to be revealed and shown who you truly are, where character is truly revealed, will be only revealed in hardness and through tribulation. Anybody can make a jump shot when ain't nobody in front of them. You can take a little kid and put him right there in front of the goal. Ain't nobody stopping him, and he will make it. But when you have a defender on you, it's gonna show what work you've been putting in. It's gonna show what you truly made of. Spud Webb versus Shaq or Kareem. Think about that. It's going to truly show. What I'm trying to say is, bro, it's like, yes, I realized that I really needed God, and I really needed my mind to be built up in order to make sure that I am still going in life and I'm not filled with a bunch of anxiety and chaos and depression. It's a serious thing. That's a serious thing. People are walking around and they are functionally depressed. They got all the money in the world. They don't have to worry about nothing. And they look good. But their spirit is off. And it's causing them to be depressed and go through so many things and not be happy, because they missing one part to their foundation, which is the centerpiece. What people don't realize is it doesn't have to go this way. But what I realized is, if you should truly start with Jesus Christ and get your spiritual life together, you will find out your true purpose in life and what you're really supposed to be doing. People say, I don't know my gifts. I don't know. Go to God. Go to Jesus. Because anything that you do out there is going to be out of the will of God if you don't understand what you're really supposed to be doing with the gifts that he gave you. People are going to use it in a total different way that he intended. You can have the life that you truly wanted if you start with Jesus and then you do the work. Faith without works is dead. Once you start with Jesus Christ and then you really go through the process of renewing your mind, then you will get what you truly want in life. The relationships that you desire, the house that you're living in, it will become a home, because you're not sitting there. It's not empty anymore, because you're not empty on the inside. You know how to be alone or physically by yourself. You know how to enjoy your own company when nobody's around. All of these things. It's so much, but you have to start with the spirit. And then, of course, you do the work on the body because you build discipline. You build resilience. When people that are overweight and they start to lose all this weight, you're building resilience. You're building toughness. You're building self-confidence. Your health is being built. All these different things are being built. And it's a reflection to what's going on in the mind and in the soul. When something hard comes up in your life, you will be able to handle it. Because one, your foundation is Jesus, and he's going to give you strength beyond what you have. So beyond what you have already built and continuously being built, he's automatically be way beyond that, but you're continuously keep growing. So imagine the things that you go through, it will never be able to stop you. Never be able to stop you because you still growing. I'm gonna wrap this up. So look, man, look out for episode 2. All right, look out for episode 2 on whatever platform you're gonna be listening to. Look out if you want to watch this in person, of course, look on YouTube. And then, of course, if you want to just listen in, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all these different platforms, look out for it. All right. Pray for me as I pray for y'all. Let me ask you a question. I got to end this with this. Let me ask you a question. Why don't you get on a grind? Look, go to the links in the description below, bssgrind.com for coaching. Email me at bssgrind@gmail.com if you want to talk to me a little bit more. Y'all be blessed.